So as you may have just been notified on your screens, this webinar is being recorded, and I will share more on that shortly. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen while a few more people trickle in. Alrighty. Well, it is 1 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. More people will be joining us, but I'm really happy to have, we're really happy to have Sue Armstrong with us from Virginia Housing. Virginia Housing is our sponsor of the Virginia Governor's Conference on Aging webinar series. So we're thrilled that Sue is here with us today to talk about ADUs. Join us every fourth Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. We will not be having one in December, or yes, excuse me. We will not be having one in December just because of the holidays, but stay tuned for more upcoming webinars in early 2024. And I will be sharing links to our website and to our YouTube channel where you can find previously recorded webinars in the series in the chat box momentarily. So keep your eyes peeled on that. But as I mentioned, we have Sue Armstrong to present the ABCs of ADUs. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and switch over sharing capabilities to Sue while I introduce her a little bit further. Alrighty. Suzanne Armstrong is currently a strategic housing officer with Virginia Housing and has been in the position for more than 6 years. Her current job focuses on development of supportive, affordable housing and other authority initiatives. Prior to that, she worked for Hampton Newport News Community Service Board in their Housing and Resource Development Department, administering multiple grants and in the development of multiple housing communities. Before working in the housing field, she worked for a number of medical practices, the DoD, and taught collegiately. Ms. Armstrong received her BS in biomedical science from Texas A&M University and her MS from Central Michigan University in administration. She has received many awards, including Housing Warrior Excellence Award. A native of Texas, she enjoys boating, outdoor activities, and traveling the world. And I do enjoy listening to Sue's stories from her travels. So thank you so much for joining us, Sue. And everybody keep your eyes peeled on the chat box. As I mentioned, I'll be dropping some helpful information there. Please put your questions in the Q&A box versus the chat box. That will just help us keep track of all inquiries. You can also use the raise hand feature to request to be unmuted during the more formal Q&A portion of the webinar. But feel free to direct message me in the chat if you have any logistical questions. But with that, I will hand it over to Sue to talk about affordable housing, which is a very pressing issue for the aging community. So thank you so much, Sue.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful introduction. And welcome, everyone. This is the ABCs of ADUs and a bit more. So we're going to go ahead and get started. What is the solution to the housing issue? Creating more housing. But we only have a finite amount of land, and density is not a word that's accepted everywhere in every county and governmental agency. So one possible solution is a gentle density, which are accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. Constructing an accessory dwelling unit on your property can provide immense advantages, such as expanded living space. It could be a home office or something like that, or supplemental income for a person. Furthermore, ADUs have the potential to be a part of the solution to alleviate the affordable housing crisis by giving reasonably priced options in the area with high housing costs. An accessory dwelling unit is a secondary residence on the same lot or the same land as one's main home, but it has to have the ability to operate independently of the home. It can take the shape of anything from basement apartments with doors to the outside, garage conversions, or even standalone structures that are in the backyard. Some nicknames for them are backyard bungalows, granny pods, and I feel like we have to be, in the interest of everyone, granny or grampy pods. The pandemic also inspired new uses for these spaces for home offices, short-term rentals, Airbnbs. Across the nation, about 1.5 million homeowners have ADUs or accessory dwelling units in their backyards. New ADUs are being added at a rate of nearly 9% a year as communities adapt their regulations to accommodate them. According to a recent study by home improvement website Porch.com, we should see a large acceleration of ADUs in the near future. What are the benefits of an ADU? In more expensive regions, think Northern Virginia, constructing an ADU can provide tenants with cost-effective and accessible rental options, which would otherwise be unattainable in that area. Building an additional dwelling unit is not only efficient, but also less costly than engaging an extensive new construction project. You've already bought the land, so you already have that instant equity there, boosting the overall supply without greatly increasing costs. Because the land and infrastructure are already there, like we just talked about, and the big thing is land and infrastructure. Those are your two costliest things. An ADU is a relatively economic way to create more affordable housing in an area that will benefit both the homeowner and the renter. A basement conversion with a locked door at the top is an easy go for some people who have a basement that maybe don't utilize them. There are two basic options for a backyard dwelling. You can choose a conventional, custom designed, stick built, that's what we call it, structure that is erected on your property, or you can go with an ADU that's manufactured in a factory, hauled to your property on a truck and set down, and then conjoined with your infrastructure. Choice depends largely on what you want to do in your particular situation. Builders of both types of ADU agree that factory built structures tend to cost less because they can be built much quicker. And so the unit goes into production much faster. To further incentivize the construction of ADUs, many localities are offering tax breaks, streamlined permitting processes, and other advantages. We're going to talk about these further down the line. This is a great opportunity for people, including those that are aging. Another benefit of this is it provides gentle density. People hear the word density and they just cringe. People are like, no, I don't want a 9-unit apartment complex, a 45-unit apartment complex. But 1 unit is really pretty easy. And this has been around for years. I want you guys, and I'm going to show my age right now, think back to Happy Days. Where did the Fonz live? Above the garage in an ADU. Hey, it was cool then, it's cool now. I know people, when they hear density, also throw up barriers, such as it's going to make traffic so much worse, or it's going to overcrowd our schools. This is really something that does not play with. So that's another reason they're really good. Okay. The benefits are just phenomenal here. So we were talking about Granny Pod or Grampy Pod. Constructing an ADU offers an extraordinary advantage for homeowners, mainly in providing more living space. This can be especially advantageous for family members who are looking to create a inviting ADU accessible unit for a family member, such as mom, dad, or maybe that child who isn't going to really leave the nest, so to speak. They really need to stay close to home for a number of different reasons, but they want their own space, which I don't know anybody who doesn't want their own space. It's also great for visiting guests, and we talked about the Airbnb. These have also been shown to help alleviate the isolation and loneliness that elderly feel once that one partner has passed away or their friends start to pass away. The ADU will allow them to stay in their area where their family is or where their friends are, that they can really continue that aging in place gracefully. It can be used and built to accommodate wheelchairs, walkers, any modification that you might need. It can be done. And we talked about them being home offices, or think about a hairstylist. That could be their salon, or a massage therapist. That could be their thing. An ADU can also be a wealth builder for the elderly and for the people that are maybe wanting to rent the unit. But for the elderly, maybe they don't need that 2-story home that's 3,000 square feet anymore. Say a partner has died and the children have moved away. So you have one person living in that home, and maybe their knees aren't as good or things aren't as going as well. And they really need a fully one-level accessible unit. They can move out into the ADU that's accessible and ready for them to age in place, staying in their community, and rent out that front unit to a family looking for a place to come in. This helps in a number of ways with economic development and another number of things. But it also gives that elderly person a steady stream of income that they wouldn't otherwise have. So there's a number of different reasons for it. ADUs are also very environmentally friendly because they're housing that is already in a developed area. There's less driving around, better use of existing infrastructure, and less pressure to expand into undeveloped areas. So these are 3 ADUs down here at the bottom. This one is an ADU that's an office. I love this one. This one is actually up in Northern Virginia, and the woman built it for herself and actually rents her main home to her son and kids. And this is another ADU up in Northern Virginia. And I want to just keep you, this is an ADU my friend has for her mother. It is on the water. I mean, how much better could you get for that? It is perfect for her. It's 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom, all one level. And as you can see, she has an absolutely gorgeous view. So another benefit is economic development. So we've all heard about the temporary Caesars Casino that opened in Danville with permanent facilities set for about 2024. It's already generated a huge demand for housing, just the temporary casino in Kyles. Also, this has happened in Bristol. And there you have the prospect of a major employer landing in a area in Southwest Virginia, which is Bristol, with a huge mega site. Pittsylvania County is dealing with this. If people would be willing to move to Pittsylvania County for these jobs, where are they going to live? Because there's not much out there. Framed that way, the shortage of housing is as much of an impediment to economic development and growth as lack of infrastructure. No company wants to relocate to an area where there's not housing for their people and where they can't attract top talent because of the housing. There's also concerns that if somebody wants to fill jobs at a mega site, say like the glove manufacturing plant that was going to go up in Wytheville, if there's no place for those people to live, are they going to be able to attract people to work at their mega site? Not to pick on Pittsylvania County, but they're currently losing population, primarily because the county's population is aging and dying. Of the 1,135 people decline the county has had over the last 2 years, 70% of that drop is because death have outnumbered birth. This is all throughout Southwest Virginia, and we know about it. And only 30% because more people are moving out than moving in. We can't do anything about the deaths and the aging population other than try to delay them. But the best way to increase births is to have younger people moving in. So far, we've looked at that birth versus death equation. And now let's talk about migration. People moving in or people moving out. In many rural counties in Virginia, they have people moving out because there's no place for them. There's no place for them to work. There's no place for them to live where they want to live. And particularly during the pandemic years, we saw people go out to Southwest Virginia because they could work remotely, but that still didn't help the losing population because the deaths have outnumbered the births. Even if nothing changed in Pennsylvania County on the births and deaths side of the ledger, there's an opportunity to turn that net out migration into net in migration, having that beginning housing and that affordable rental. Another option is an alternative to a nursing home. The Reverend Kenneth Dupin, a Methodist minister from Salem, Virginia, gets complete credit for this idea. This is a med cottage. These are tiny portable home designed to be a hospital room. They're created in Blacksburg, Virginia, and they were created with the help of Virginia Tech. So you know they've got good engineering behind them. They are prefabricated and designed to be installed in a backyard behind a main home. The small dwelling is hooked up to the main home's existing sewer, water, and power. All of this can cost you probably around $185,000 to $200,000 today. In 2010, Virginia amended state zoning laws to permit the addition of a temporary, that's the big thing, is it's temporary healthcare structure behind an existing home. It has to be, the stipulation is a physician has to say it's a medical need. The great thing about this is when the home is no longer needed, it can be resold and moved on. I think these homes are really cool coming from a medical background. And as you can see, they're basically one room with a bathroom and a very small kitchen. But they also have really neat features. The refrigerator can dispense medication. There's foyer lifting throughout. So if the person becomes unable to walk, there's a foyer lifting. There's video system. The toilets can measure urine outflow and the chemicals of the urine. So these really have massive possibilities as our technology increases. So we've talked about all the great things of an ADU, but let's talk about some barriers. First, there's a dearth of financial products for ADUs. So the homeowner really is bearing the brunt of developing this. You can build an ADU with a HELOC on the first home or a second mortgage, but most times cash is king. This is changing. Financial institutions are looking at actually supporting these units. There's also a number of regulatory barriers that exist, which make it easy for localities to block the development of ADUs. For example, some require the homeowner to live in the main house, while others require 2 off-street parking spaces per unit. Special use permits are expensive and take a long time to obtain, and that's another block that they can put up. There's also a lack of builders for these that specialize in this kind of housing, but that again is changing. Manufactured modular home companies are getting on the wagon with this, and these really are stick-built homes. They're just built in a factory much quicker. The big here is to ensure your zoning is ready for these products. So, overcoming the barriers. The Harvard School of Planning feels like these changes have to happen at the state level. And so localities have limited ability to block development with parking mandates and owner occupancy requirements. The city of Clovis, New Mexico, which if you've never been there, I have, and there's not much there. But they have a cottage home program that is a national award-winning program that offers residents an opportunity to construct some of the 3 streamlined plans they have on their property with a rear yard facing an alley. So basically, you're going to have the small home in the backyard, and it's going to be one of 3 plans if you don't want to go through the planning process with them. The program was originally created to encourage infill residential development in the Old Town Clovis area, where many properties have access to alleys. Due to the early success, the cottage home program has been made available to qualifying properties citywide. So again, this works and people can get on board with it. And Salinas, California has adopted an ADU pattern book. So pattern book is something that you can use in the planning of the process, that if you say we're going to use one of these 6 different ones, And if you use one of those 6 different plans, you can pass the whole permitting process by. Some places incentivize ADU development with no permitting fees or tap fees if tap fee is required. We all need to try to find some tools to break through these barriers so that we can create more affordable housing and more housing that can be ADA and readily available. So this is just to kind of show you a different idea. This is really housing for everyone, but we have RV park, yurts. I've never lived in a yurt, but I'd like to see it. You know, they call it palocanos, where patios come and you share patio. Different subdivisions, ADUs, boarding and rooming homes. So it takes it takes a wide variety of housing to really meet an area's needs. So this is something that just was released less than a month ago, and I think this is so cool. This is a manufactured home that is actually a duplex. And this is another idea for affordable senior housing, in the fact that maybe somebody has a best friend and they want to live next to them, or, you know, a mother wants to live next to her children or something like that. They have come a long way. I don't know if you guys have seen manufactured homes in a while, but I would suggest you go out to a dealership and just roam around them. You'd be just flabbergasted at how amazing they are. But now they can be duplexes. Firewalls actually separate the 2 units, and what it allows to happen, if one of the units is damaged with like fire or something else, they can pull that unit out and put a new unit in without affecting the other house. And I just think this is so amazing. So a lot of them, like this one, has a fireplace in it. You can kind of see that wall that we were talking about. It's actually like not that wall, but kind of see how they would conjoin together, I guess. So a lot of them have granite countertops. You would just be amazed at the upgrades. And they don't look like manufactured homes. I think this looks like a quaint little duplex that could be stick built right on site. But this is actually a manufactured home. And here is an actual one that was just put in Danville. And this is what it looks like. And my guess is none of you would be able to say that's a manufactured home. So these, like I said, have just been released. So it's kind of a new thing. And now I wanted to talk about some tools for your toolkit. So Virginia Housing is a state housing finance agency. We are a 501c3. We take no taxpayer dollars whatsoever. And we put about 70% of our net revenue back into the communities through a number of sources, mostly through our REACH money, which helps us to provide grants to nonprofits and do different things like that. We're just going to talk about a very high level of some things we offer. And if you have any questions about it, you can contact me after this. But this is really a neat opportunity that Virginia Housing that makes that a lot of other places just don't have. So our mission is to help all Virginians attain quality, affordable housing. And we do this through our partners, like you guys, and like V4A. We know we can't do this by ourselves, so we have to partner with you. And we partner with you by helping you become stronger, by providing services, by doing a number of different things. When homes are safe and affordable and accessible to jobs, goods, schools, and transportation, everyone benefits. And we know this. We know that that is a true thing. So we do this through sponsorships, capacity building grants, community impact grants. So a sponsorship will give you $5,000 a year to do an event if you are a nonprofit that deals in housing somehow. We have capacity building grants that pay for strategic plans, succession planning, and we have community impact grants that can help you build what you need, that can get you started. And we have a number of other different things for that. And then we also have tools for your toolkit. We have virginiahousingsearch.com. It is a free, completely free for the landlord, completely free for the tenant to use. A tenant can go and search for housing on it, or a landlord can list. It's in a variety of languages. It is either on the computer, or if you have somebody who's not really a computer friendly person, you can do it by phone. And the phone is available Monday through Friday, 9 to 8 p.m. But it's a great tool. And if you have a landlord who needs to list their property, this is a great place to do it. We have the Rental Unit Accessibility Modification Grant, or RUM, as we like to call it. I think it's quite the mouthful. We will pay up to $8,000 for modifications to a rental unit. That's grab bars, ramps, roll-in showers, things like that. You must have an area median income of 80% or less and have a disability. And we have an authorized agent. So we actually pay somebody to help them do the application. And that information of which agent they would go to is available on our website. And these are just some examples. I think these are so neat. And I'm not in a wheelchair, but I could use this because I'm really short. But these are pull down cabinets. I think this is awesome. Or a ramp or a roll-in shower. Just some things to get your minds going on it. We do granting freedom, and this is for active or retired military. Again, it's up to $8,000. But we've worked with the VA so that the veteran can combine this with their HISA grant through the VA and really get maybe a more beefy modification done. There is no area median income restriction. And again, we have an agent to help them through this process. That's on our website as well. And the next one is something that I have been pushing and pushing and pushing for the 6.5 years I've been here, which is a owner-occupied modification grant. So again, it's up to $8,000. The owner of the unit must be 80% or less in income. They again apply through an agent, and we are targeting 65 years and older and disabled people. So think about that. You know, if you have an owner who maybe all they need to stay in their home is a higher toilet and grab bar, perfect. Let's do it. Let's get it done. And so they can stay where they are and age beautifully in place. We also provide housing choice vouchers. We're one of 42 housing agencies or authorities across the state that administer the HCV program. We assist very low income families and elderly and disabled by providing a portion of their rental payment to the landlords. We administer the vouchers in certain areas of the state that don't have a housing authority or a housing agency, primarily in the suburbs and rural areas of Virginia. We support the program by funding and staffing so that most of the state can be covered with a voucher program. But to get into the voucher program for a certain area, you still will need to go through a local agent. We also partner with housing counseling authorities. So the HUD-approved housing counseling agency can provide great guidance on pre-purchase education, credit education, post-purchase, reverse mortgage, foreclosure, loss mitigation, rental housing. They provide homeless services and financial and credit counselors to help you repair your counseling. I mentioned reverse mortgages. So they are there. They are not selling anything. They are not looking for anything. They are there to help a client walk through the process and to ensure that they are not getting a predatory loan or a predatory agreement. Most of the time, this is completely free, or there's a very, very small nominal fee. And this is done in every area throughout the state with different agencies. Again, our partners. And we have educational tools as well. We have a renter's education class, a home buyer education class, and a post-purchase education class. So if you think about it, okay, I've never owned a home before. Where's that nice person that comes and changes my air filters? Well, now I'm the nice person that's going to do that. So for us at Virginia Housing, a first-time home buyer is anyone who has not owned a home in 3 years. We have a number of different things for first-time home buyers. different grants and loans and things like that. But 3 years, think about it. You just haven't owned a home in 3 years. So it's not very long. We have homeownership resources. We have Lending Wizard on our website. You go in and Lending Wizard, you put in your parameters, and it'll tell you which one of our loans is best for you, or if there's maybe not a loan that we have that's best for you. We have a varied amount of different home loans. We have no PMI, low PMI, down payment assistance, closing cost assistance, all sorts of things. So that's why Lending Wizard is the best, because we take everybody as an individual. So there's no one size fits all on things. We also have rental housing programs. We do the LIHTC program, the federal low income housing tax credit program. We also do the state housing opportunity tax program. We have a certified management agent program. We also have strategic loans for multifamily, which means that we are going to work with you to help you capital stack and look at things. We have mixed income, mixed use developments. The key to successful rental housing communities is quality management. And that's why we developed the certified management agent program. But before you get there, you have to have a nice low interest rate, which is why we have the strategic multifamily loans that are designed to keep costs down so that savings can be passed on to low to moderate income renters. And housing and business together, always better if you can work and play in the same place. So think about bodegas, doctor's offices, breweries. My favorite one is Price's Fork Elementary School. If you're ever out near Blacksburg, it's wonderful. It's an old elementary school. The classrooms are elderly housing. The music room is a microbrewery, and the gym and cafeteria is a farm to table restaurant. Out on the back where the playground is multifamily housing. So it really is a really cool little community right there with a number of people. And it's reused a building that was historically relevant for that area. Another thing that we do provide is we partner with Virginia Housing Alliance to provide AmeriCorps volunteers for different areas. We have matching funds for the VISTA member for their lodging, travel, and boarding. And we can help with that. But if you would like a VISTA member for your area, who wouldn't, right? A college person who just wants to learn more and has a gust for a living, contact Virginia Housing Alliance and they can help you with the application. And now, do we have any questions?
Yep, it looks like we have a question from a Tony Beecham. Tony is asking, can the owner occupied modification grant be used to have a ramp installed on an elderly resident's home?
Very much so.
Just while we wait for other questions to come in, I will note that we received a question about slides being shared. So yes, we will be sharing the slide deck with all attendees in a follow-up email along with the recording link, or excuse me, yes, the link to our YouTube where you can find the webinar recording. But we do have some time, so please submit your questions as you have them.
Sorry, I went kind of fast.
No, you're okay. Sue, you were mentioning the rental housing programs. Can you explain or talk a little bit more on the certified management agent program that you had mentioned?
Sure. So, especially with low-income housing tax credit programs and things like that, there's a lot of rules and regulations to follow. So we have developed a certified management program where a manager would have to meet different qualifications to actually get that designation. And if you have a LIHTC property, you're required to have a certified person on site. This helps because the IRS runs the low-income housing tax credit program. And I always say the IRS doesn't want to give you your money, much less their money. So with the LIHTC program, if you mess up, so to speak, they can take everything. And we don't want that to happen. So by having an agent or a manager that knows what's supposed to be done, knows how it's properly supposed to be done is crucial. so to speak.
Thank you. And it looks like we have a follow-up question from Tony.
Okay.
Is it best to refer the resident directly to Virginia Supportive Housing to be assigned to an agent?
No, so on our website, www.virginiahousing, all one word, all spelled out, .com. If you go up into the search box and put owner modification agents, it'll come up with the person for the agency for the area. I believe Tony's in Richmond, if I remember correctly. So most likely it will be the resources for independent living. So, but Tony, you can contact me directly too, and I can give you the answer of where they need to go depending upon where they are in the area.
So we have another question from a Tomeeker, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, Gary, who determines appropriate modifications that a client needs for the 8,000 owner occupied and rental unit grants?
So if they're over 65, just a need that they tell their doctor and their doctor says, yes, this would be good. And if they're under 65, they just need a note from the doctor that they need the modification. So really it is a physician that's going to determine that, not us and not the agent. I will say though, if the agent feels something is awry, they might say, we need some more documentation. Say if somebody's asking for I'm just going to be totally out there, a pool or hot tub, there we go, hot tub because they have arthritis. You know, the agent may want more verification that that's actually a need and not a desire, so to speak.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So if you have any questions, attendees, feel free to drop them now. We do have a little bit of time. I will, just while we wait, if any questions come in, I will note that I will be sharing Sue's email in that follow-up email to you all. So if you have any questions that you think of after this webinar or have any other topics you'd like to discuss with Sue, you will have that contact information.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone for listening to me. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Oh, it looks like Daphne Eaton had just asked in the chat with whom you were with, and Sue is with Virginia Housing. Sue, is there anything else that, oh, it looks like we have an attendee that is requesting to be unmuted, so give me a moment. Rebecca, if you'd like to go ahead and ask your question.
Yes. Good afternoon, Sue. It's so good to see you. Rebecca Brown, Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia. I had a question about so last year, Virginia Housing, it was on a piece of their legislative priorities to support the bill to permit accessory dwelling units by right. And so I didn't know, do you know if Virginia Housing is going to reintroduce that for this legislative session? And if not, does Virginia Housing provide technical assistance to groups to advocate for this and possibly get this started for this upcoming General Assembly session?
So most of you may not know, but Susan Dewey, who is our CEO, who has been with us a very long time, will be leaving in December. So I don't think we have any legislative priorities until we find out who the new CEO will be.
Mm-hmm.
We do have Damus Bordeaux, who is just fabulous. And I am more than happy to connect you with him. And he works on all of our legislative agenda items.
Wonderful.
So,
that'd be great.
Yeah. So short story, I have no idea.
Okay. Very good.
I can tell you who you need to go to.
Okay.
But we do have a pretty aggressive policy and planning department. And we would like to see ADUs come
Mhm.
around and be welcomed everywhere.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Jillian.
Thanks, Rebecca. All righty. Well, if we don't have any further questions, thank you so much, Sue, for your time. We know you're a busy individual, so we're really grateful that you were able to join us. And of course, we are very grateful for Virginia Housing for your support of the series. But again, everybody keep your eyes peeled on your inbox. But I will hand it over to you, Sue, if you have any closing remarks or anything else that you think the attendees should leave with. But thank you very much.
I just would say, thank you guys for doing all the work you do, because there's a lot of people who don't understand that it takes a team to really move things forward. And also don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or ideas or anything like that. The door is always open. And I really appreciate all your hard work. And thank you, Jillian, for everything you've done. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a safe holiday season.